So this is what we're looking at today, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, all the X-Wings that have been done from 1995. And yeah, it's a massive pile, isn't it? There is over 15 made, and we're going to look at all of these, review them in a lot of detail, and see which one I think is best. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel, Mando number 5, and I'm Keith Guppy. So welcome to episode number 2 of Mando's Best, where I look at all the vehicles, ships, and even the characters of the 3.75 lines since 1995. We'll look at them in depth. We'll look at the different types of each ship, etc. And then what we'll do is score them. We'll score them out of 10, and we'll see what I think's the best. Now, just my choice. You might disagree. So please put your comments in. And if you've got a better pick, then let me know and let me know why. So we'll look at the features, the playability of them, the box art. I mean, some of the art's really, really nice. The size of them, the scale, how they interact with 3.75-inch figures. Are they true to scale? How rare they are, how difficult they are to get hold of on eBay, etc. in these days. Yeah, and then we'll look at the value of each one and, what I think you get for your money. And we'll score that, obviously, out of 10 as well. So yeah, you guessed it. This week we're looking at X-Wings, and you won't believe it, but there are over 15 X-Wings that have been produced since 1995. I've got all bar one, I would say. There's a couple smaller ones that I don't really count, but there's one I haven't got, which I'll pop a picture a bit later on. But I've got the rest, so we'll review the ones I have got, and there, like I said, there are 15 of those. So let's have a really good look at each one. As always, if you're enjoying this content, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. So this is where it began for the X-Wings in 1995. This is just a retooled version of the original vintage one with a few differences. It's got a couple sounds on it, and the guns are grey and not the old black ones that you'd see on the vintage ones. To get one of these now, you're probably talking about £50, a minute in a box. But even the artwork's pretty lazy. They got the wrong loot. They didn't even put an X-Wing pilot in the cockpit. But yeah, it is what it is, and I think we were just glad to see him back at the time, back in 1995. Then the next year they brought out the green version. Now this version is very, very hard to get hold of. It's very, very rare. The only real difference on the front is you've got a bit more going on. You've got a darker windshield, which is better. You've got some flames coming out the engines, some laser beams coming out the guns. But apart from that, it's effectively the same version that you had a year before. But this is really hard to get hold of. I think the windshield does help quite a lot, the look of it actually. But apart from that, it is just the orange one again. There's a little proof of purchase thing you can cut out there, and whether you can send it away, I'm not sure. But there you go. But they're about £70 to get hold of, so a bit more expensive than the orange ones. So this is where Hasbro really got the act together back in 1996. And they brought out the first of the bigger X-Wings. And this was much more true to scale. I don't think it's quite big enough, but it wasn't bad. It had loads of features on this one. You had targeting computer that moved. You had R2-D2 moves around. You had a missile on it. It was much, much better. A real step up. And this one's even got lights in the back of the engines. And it's probably still today one of the best X-Wings you can get for features. It had a handle so you could fly it around. Yeah, the R2-D2 was in there as well. You had lights and sounds with it. Yeah, it was a much more improved ship. And now it probably costs you nearly £100 to get one of these. They're quite expensive. So this is a 2002 Saga version where they started using the clear fronted or like sort of plasticky front so you could see what was going inside the box. This is Luke Skywalker's X-Wing after it's crashed on Dagobah. Really good weathering on this one actually, and quite a nice scene in the background. You've got R2 with some containers, which is a nice little extra actually. Not a great version. This would probably cost you about £80-90 now. The box art's average, and the features on it are pretty poor. I don't think there's any the sounds or anything like that on here, or lights. Maybe just a missile that fires underneath. But yeah, pretty average version, but it has got the R2 in containers. And then the year after, they brought out a very, very similar one for 2004. This is the Red Leader's X-Wing with the pilot included, and it's on the sort of Death Star trench run. So different livery on it, obviously, from A New Hope. the packaging pretty poor. I mean, they put a little sticker of a pilot inside the cockpit, which is really crap. But there you go. You did get a unique pilot with it, and it's okay. It's got a bit of weathering on it, a few spots on it, so they made a bit of an effort. The artwork again's average on the ends of it, and like I said, the features were pretty average on this. And there's the back, everybody. Yeah, not many features again, but the weathering's really, really cool in this one. You can see the sort of the burn effect on the engines and stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, not bad. Probably again about 110 pounds. Then in 2005, they brought out what was the first of two double packs where they've got a TIE fighter and an X-wing. But it's pretty impressive. This is from the trilogy collection, obviously. But the X-Wings, we're back to the small version again. It doesn't really do a lot. I don't even think it's got any sounds on this one, but it may do. But, you can get these singly, and I haven't got this singly. I'll pop up a picture. They're really, really hard to get hold of singly. They're about £100. And this pack would probably cost you probably 120, 130, 140 pounds. But they are quite rare. And here's a Dagobah version from the Saga line from 2006. And this is really, really nice. This is Luke's X-Wing on Dagobah with Dragon Snake creature with Luke. And look at that moss and stuff they provide with this. It's really, really cool. My wings actually fell off inside the box, if you're wondering. But I think this is one of my favourites. It's got all the weed and the stuff after it's just landed. The box is really cool. There's loads of clear viewing panels on it. Really nice box. Great picture on the back. That's really, really cool. And here's the back. Not many features. That's got the landing gear that comes down, two bits of landing gear. You've got the snake, obviously, which is a big good plus point. The only way you can get that Dragon Snake. Cockpit moves up and down. But yeah, not an awful lot going on really with this one. But I think the packaging really makes it. I mean, it's probably the best packaged X-Wings you can get. And for this, you'd probably have to pay about 130, 140 pounds. Then in 2010, we got this legacy version with Wedge Antilles X-Wing. But what really made it is you've obviously got Wedge, you've got his droid, which is really, really cool, the red droid. But what you've got some ladders with it. Now, these ladders are really sought after, believe it or not, to maintain the X-Wings and stuff. Again, the box is really nice. The red really pops and matches the X-Wing. It's a really nice version. Again, one of my favourites. You've got some pretty cool artwork, them fighting TIE fighters in the background. Yeah, it is, and that's all the bits you get. I mean, it's pretty cool. You've got landing gear again. You've got an emblem you can put on there, an interchangeable sort of emblem for the squadron. The wings obviously pop up and down in the S4 position like all the X-Wings do. But there you go. You'd have to spend probably about £140 to get this version. Now, this is a bit of a cheat, really. This is the Blue Skies double pack trench run version, which is really, really difficult to get hold of. And you get loads. You get Luke and R2D2, and you get Darth Vader with it. But you've obviously got an X-Wing, which is nice-ish weathering on it. You've got like the trench run effect inside, and you've got Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. But the box is really, really nice. I mean, the art on the end's really, really cool. I mean, this is really, really rare. You probably have to spend about £180 to get this. Got quite a lot of features on it as well. You've got missiles, targeting computer. R2 could obviously go inside. So, in terms of features, pretty good. No sounds though, unfortunately, on this one. But like I said, about £180 to get this really rare piece. Then we had this oddity that came out in 2014 in the Rebels Hero line. It's an absolutely huge X-Wing. It doesn't do anything. It's got landing gear and that's about it on this version. But it's absolutely huge. And it's probably more true to scale than any others we've had. The artwork on the box is pretty cool as well. It's a huge box. These don't go for an awful lot of money. You can probably get one of these for, I don't know, about £45. There is an American version which has got lights and sounds on it. And I'll show a picture of that. But pretty cool. It's a shame we just didn't put more features on this one. So with the Force Awakens line coming out in 2015, they did two X-Wings. They did this one, which is the X-Wing he had later on in the film, over the ice planet, with TIE fighters following him. Pretty cool ships. They both had a Poe with them. This had the Poe in his sort of proper pilot gear. A few features: missile, opening cockpit, but not an awful lot. These will probably cost you now about £50 to get, so still quite pricey. So yeah, this one, the orange and black version, and then at the same time they released the first version that he flew, which is the white and bluish version, which is probably slightly rarer. I love the shot in the background with the X-wings and the TIE fighters, and there he is in his kind of more of his Rebels outfit. But as I said, this is probably about £50 this version. Um, and they did do a boosted version that came out with The Last Jedi, but I'll show you a picture of that later on, which I haven't got. But yeah, not many features, S-foil, missiles, and just the opening cockpit really on this one. But pretty cool. As I said, and reasonably hard to get a hold of, I guess. And then the TVC line from 2019, TVC2 line, they brought out this, which is Luke's X-Wing, which is what everyone had been calling out for since the Red Free version back in TVC1. The artwork's pretty good, typical, classic racetrack on the vintage collection boxes. The Star Wars art, which always makes it look really cool. You got a picture there with Chewbacca and Luke and Leia and C-3PO. Not much going on in terms of features, landing gear, the hatch, the cockpit hatch. And then I think on these you've got the firing missile as well. Yeah, there it is. And you've got obviously the S-foils in the attack position if you want them. But, pretty cool. There was two more of X-Wings they brought out with the Vintage Collection line. The next one, which is probably probably is my favourite. It's this Poe's Demerons one. It's really cool. It's a completely different looking X-Wing. It's got like the half engine style on it from the film. Lovely orange and grey livery on it. Absolutely looks cracking. Now these are a lot of money now. These are probably going for, I don't know, probably about £140. Maybe a little bit less. Maybe about £130 on secondary market. Got really, really popular. This one's got a couple engine sort of reveals on it, which is a bit different than any of the other X-Wings. But apart from that, the usual, S-foil, attack position, landing gear, and then probably the hatches on it. But yeah, pretty cool. Again, I keep saying it's probably one of my favourites. And then more recently in 2021, they released this one. And this is Anton Merrick's X-Wing from Blue Squadron and from Rogue One. Really, really popular. You get the added benefit of this one. You get an Anton Merrick figure inside. But yeah, the ship looks really, really cool in blue and grey. I wish they would do a few more of these actually. Really, really popular. It's got some, it's got the Rebel base in the background, which is pretty cool. You get the really cool figure. It's a shame they killed him off in the film because he'd been a great character to bring back at a later date. All the features are the same. The missile, the wings in the S-foil position, and then I guess the hatch and then the landing gear. But pretty cool version. This was a lot higher, but now you can probably get it for about £85. And as I said earlier, there's one I haven't got, and that's Poe Dameron's boosted X-Wing from The Last Jedi. Really, really, really difficult to get hold of. This is a Toys R Us exclusive. I'm not sure how much it's worth because you just don't see them ever. So if anyone's got one, let me know because I really would like one, and I've never seen one. Well, I've hardly ever seen him for sale. So I hope you enjoyed that little look at all the X-Wings they produced. So let's give them a bit of a score, shall we? And get it, like I said, it's only my opinion, so disagree if you want to. That's up to you. So they started with obviously the Power of the Force versions. So we'll look at the features and playability first of all. So pretty limited. I've given both of those a 5. But obviously the bigger version that came out later on, that's got a lot of features on it. It's got lights and sound, so I've given that an 8. And then the Saga versions from 2002 and 2003, they were, a bit limited, to be honest. So I've got a 6 because you've got a few containers in the 2002 version and a 5 for the 2003 version. Then you've got the trilogy one. Yeah, not a lot going on there. 5. The Dagobah one, though, you've got this Dragon Snake, you've got the Moss, you've got an R2, so that's pretty cool. So I've given that a strong 7. And then the Saga, the Legacy version, you've got obviously the ladders and the really cool droid. So again, I've given that a 7. And then the double pack shouldn't really be on here really, but I've put it in anyway. I've given that a 6. Not a lot going on there. And then the Force Awakens, the first one, again, there's limited features on these toys, so I've given that a 5. And then I've given the same to score to the Force Awakens one, which is a 5 again. And then you've got the Heroes version. There's no features on that, so that gets a low 2. And then all the trilogy versions, I've given them a 6. I know the Poe version's got a couple panels that removed, but overall, I've given them all a 6. So that's the features and playability. Now, in terms of box art, I've given the Force Awakens, the Power of the Force first version a 4, and then a slightly stronger 5 for the green version. You've got some flame engine effects, and you've got the lasers come out the front, so it looks a little bit better. Again, I've given the same score to the bigger version of a 5, and then the two Saga versions I've given 5 each. I know you've got the clear film you can see the vehicles from, but the box art is still pretty drab, if I'm honest. Then for the trilogy one, you've got the classic racetracks. That gets an extra mark for me, so I'll give it a 6. But the Dagobah one is terrific. It looks really, really cool. It looks really nice on a shelf if you saw it in a shop. So I've given that a really strong 8. And I also like the Legacy one because that's that red theme going on that matches the X-Wing. So I've given that a 7. And again, I've given that a 7 to the double pack because that looks really cool. I mean, you've got the Darth Vader and Luke pilot pictures on the front that really makes it look cool when you've got the trench run effect inside. So I've been giving that a strong 7. The Force Awakens one, it's okay. You've got a TIE fighter and you've got a bit going on the front, so I've given that a 6. Likewise, I've given the other one a 6 as well. Although there's a little bit more going on in the front of that. You've got some X-Wings, but a 6. Then you've got the Heroes one. I know it's got a Death Star on it, and you've got some TIE fighters and stuff flying around, but it's still pretty drab. I've given that a 6. And then, as you'd expect, I've given all the trilogy one the same mark. I just love the racetrack. They all look like something's going on. A little bit of mis-selling because you think, oh, let me know. I've got some figures inside this box, and there's obviously only the Antok merit you get with any of the ships, but I've given them all a 7. So let's look at the rarity. How difficult are these to find in the open market at the moment? Well, they're all quite rare, but some are obviously less rare than others. So the Power of Force orange boxes are probably a 5. You can get that reasonably easily. The green one, however, is really, really hard to get. So I've given that a 9. It's very, very difficult. The bigger version, a 7, and the two Saga ones about a 7. And these are all quite hard to get, especially in really good condition because they tend to ding and dent, obviously. And then you've got the trilogy one by itself. That's quite hard, an 8. The Dagobah one's a little bit easier, 7. The Legacy one's very difficult to get in good condition. Mine's got a bit of damage on it, as you probably saw. So I give that an 8. The double pack, the trench run, it's really hard to get. So I've given that a 9. And then the two Force Awakens ones, a 5 and a 6 for the earlier one, the blue and white one. That's a little bit harder to get. The Heroes version, pretty easy, 5. The Luke Vintage Collection one is a 5. But that is, that only probably, there was still some retail sellers selling that about a year ago. But it's getting a little bit more difficult and the price is going up a little bit now. Poe Dameron's one is quite difficult. That's a 7. And then Antok Marix is quite easier, a lot easier. So I give that a 6. So that's the rarity. And then value for money. So obviously this is where I look at the features compared with the price of them. So, the Force Awakens ones, I've given that kind of a mediocre 7. They're the cheapest versions, but they probably do the least in terms of features and stuff. I think the £90 Power of the Force one is not. I'll give that the highest score, 9, because that's got loads of features. It's got the most features of any X-wing, and it's only £90. Whereas the two Saga ones, they don't really do an awful lot. So I've given them a 7 and a 6. And then the trilogy one, I've given that a 6. That's the old small version, and it's £100, so well overpriced for me. But the Dagobah one, I think that's about right. I mean, £130. It's a huge ship, a huge box. Got loads of things going on for it. That unique moss and vegetation, really cool. So I've given that an 8. The Legacy one, you obviously get the ladders. So there's a bit going on there. And the droid alone would probably cost you £20. So I think £140 for the whole lot is pretty good. So give that a 7. The double pack, is only about 160, 70, 180 pounds. So I think for two big vehicles like that, I've given that a 9 as well. And then the Force Awakens ones, yeah, they are what they are. £65 or £60 for those two is a lot of money. So I've given them a 5 each. Um, the Heroes, um, the Heroes one, I mean that's a huge ship. So for 45 quid, I've given that an 8. I think that's pretty good value for money if you're a kid and you want a big ship to fly around. And then the first two trilogy ones, sorry, the first two vintage collection ones, Luke's X-wing and Poe's, they're a lot of money. So I've given them both a 7. It's just a solid 7. And then because Anton Merrick's is only 85 quid, and you get Anton Merrick, it's probably worth 35 pounds. I've given that an 8. So yeah, that's my score. So let's see how they look in order of scoring Series 1 today's Mando's best. So from 15th to 1st. So at number 15, unsurprisingly, we've got the Power of the Force orange version with just 25 points. Then we've got the first Force Awakens version, the blue and grey one with 26. The next Force Awakens one has got one more at 27. Then you've got the Heroes X-Wing, the big one, 29 points. The Dark Blue Saga, 30 points. The Trilogy one, 30 points as well, but probably a little bit better because I like the packaging, I like the racetrack theme on those. Then at number 9, you've got the small green Power of the Force version with 31 points. And then number 8, the first TVC one, Luke's X-Wing, is 32 points. The Saga Light Blue, it's got some containers and it's got R2, so I've given that 33. And then Anton Merrick's X-Wing, really cool ship. It's got 35 points. Then at number 5, almost the same points as Poe Dameron's X-Wing, which is a really, really cool X-Wing. And then you've got the Legacy version, the red one, which I really think is cool, is 36. You've got the large Power of the Force one, which really broke the mold with the size of that. Really cool sheet, loads of features, as I said, 37. And in second place, bit of a cheat really, because it's a double pack. You've got the Dark Skies twin pack at 38 points, but just winning it. And I did this blind. I didn't try to fix or anything, and they all have 1 point better than each other. And then the top one is the Saga Dagobah place it for 39 points. Absolute fantastic ship. Worth the money in my opinion. Hard to get in great condition. The corners of the box are normally a bit fray, but a fantastic ship. You've got the Dragon Snake, you've got Luke, but the ship looks great and it looks great in the box. So my winner is a Dagobah Saga version. There you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you again hopefully next week with another Mando's Best. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.